Welcome to our Everlast tech support channel. Today we'll be showing you how to install a Teflon liner on your MIG machine. First, we'll set up the MIG feeder. We'll need to remove the guide tube from the Euro connector by prying up on this C-clip and pushing out the guide tube through the front of the machine. Now we'll reinstall the C-clip back onto the guide tube and store the tube for when we want to switch the machine back over to a steel liner. Next, we're going to replace this steel guide liner with a piece of Teflon. Loosen the set screw to be able to pull the mount out and unscrew the spring from the plastic body. I have cut this extra piece of Teflon the same length as the spring. I will just push this back into the body and reinstall it into the machine. Next, we'll grab your MIG gun, and we're going to start by removing all of the consumables off the front of the gun. This MIG gun has a copper tip, a tip holder, and a ceramic diffuser. To remove the liner from the MIG gun, it'll be pulled out through the central Euro connection. Remove the large nut, and be sure to have your MIG gun nice and straight. Before stretching out your new liner, we're just going to remove the wedge collet and O-ring and put it off to the side. Here I'm just using my utility knife to make sure that there's no burr from the previous cut on the inside of the tubing. As you feed the new liner in, be careful not to kink or push too hard to damage the liner. You can experience spots where the liner will feel like it binds as it transitions through the torch head and the neck of the gun. If you have a hard time pushing the liner through, try rotating the torch head 90 degrees and feed it through. After the liner has come out the head of the torch, I'm just going to cut off my excess, leaving myself at least 6 to 8 inches. Now we're going to reassemble the consumables on the MIG torch head. Here we have some extra Teflon liner coming out the front of the gun. Using a sharp knife, you can cut the excess liner off flush with the end of the gun, and then reinstall your tip holder. Or you can feed the excess liner back into the MIG gun while installing your tip holder. Here I had to just disassemble the torch one more time to reinstall the ceramic diffuser before completing the full assembly of the MIG gun. Now we want to install the wedge collet and the O-ring on the Teflon liner. To determine the best location for the wedge collet, I'll lightly push the liner into the gun and then slide the collet up into the connector body. Once I found that location, I'll slide down the O-ring, install the lock nut, and then I'll push the liner back into the MIG gun while tightening down the lock nut. Please note this lock nut only needs to be finger tight. Over tightening it will damage the liner. Now we're going to install the MIG gun onto the machine. We'll feed the excess liner through the front Euro connector and pull it out on top of the drive roller. When tightening the Euro connector to the front panel of the machine, it's best to do it in small steps where you push, wiggle, and tighten the lock nut a couple turns, push and wiggle and tighten the lock nut to ensure that the two faces of the central Euro connection have married up flush. For the final step, we'll be cutting off the excess Teflon liner at the drive rollers. You'll want to cut the liner to be as close as possible to the drive rollers without making contact. Be sure you have the correct drive rollers installed in your machine for the type of wire that you have selected. Thanks for working with us today. We hope that this video has helped with your setup and installation of your new Teflon liner.